So I went to Home Depot with the intention of I'm going to use a maple for my the remainder of my bows for this season, 4 Gullwing bows. And I go to Home Depot, I'm looking at the wood. It's like maple. I'm finding some boards with decent grain. But then I go and I jab it with my fingernail. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not I'm not 100% sure this is actually sugar maple, a hard maple. I think this could be what I would consider, from a bow making standard, a junk maple. Because the hardness in maples vary greatly. It's like elm. You know, you've got red elm at the bottom, or slippery elm, which is same thing. And then you've got rock elm at the top. I mean, the hardness, the stiffness varies greatly. Wood is not wood within like a genus. Let's say the different species of those woods can vary greatly. Norway maple or sugar maple. Which one do you make a bow out of? Obviously sugar maple. Same can be true of oaks. The story continues. Looking at the maples, I was disappointed. Told my wife she was looking at other stuff, you know. It's bad, it's not sugar maple. So I wound up, and just like the last time I bought wood at Home Depot, the right length, the right grain. This board was waiting for me. I found one that was waiting for me to make Gullwing bows. It's like, you know, if you open your mind and you go with the flow, you don't always get what you want, but sometimes you find you get what you need. Look at that, I just wrote a song. I saw a board, beautiful grain again, and it's heavy and it's dense, and it was the right length for 55 or 56 inch long bows. It was perfect. It was just waiting for me. It was laughing at the maple. Ah, you suck, maple. John wants me. And I did. I bought this board. 4 Gullwing bows. Now, Gullwings, relatively short bows. They were not by any means an ELB, English longbow. They were shorter draw bows, primarily sinew backed, although that there were some soft bows. You know, no sinew backing on them. Interestingly enough, before, you know, Osage came onto the scene, it was in the Missouri Valley and it had to be trucked up there. Carried, you know, horseback or wagon or whatever. They all kind of looked alike. The variety of bows differed more within the individual bow maker than it did tribal or band. You know, they all kind of had the same form, Gullwings. Now, I don't want to tie you up too much, and so I'm going to say the next jump in my technology in producing something. This is how I'm going to do my Gullwings. I'm going to take my Gullwings. I'm going to finish and tiller them around the back, you know, prior to sinew backing. They're going to be tillered to what I believe will be darn near the finished weight I want after the sinew is on. Like, basically finish bows and then put the sinew on it. But instead of putting the three bends in it, as I normally would do first, I'm going to work them organically. The way that these bows evolved, shorter bows, very portable. They're hunting on horseback, so they were closer to the buffalo. So they didn't need to have these big long bows that were more suited for ground hunting. And I'm sure short bows, yeah, these are great. After a while, they get string follow, so then they would bend the reflex into the handle, bend them back, you know, and so you get this. And advantages, if you have the curved limbs to begin with, it kind of cheats a longer draw length. So there's a lot of advantages to a Gullwing. But I'm going to take my bows that are finished prior to heat shaping or steam shaping them or whatever shaping them, and sinew backing, string them, maybe with a heat gun, to develop the string follow in them. I'm going to simulate use over time. Let those limbs hit their wall, because there's a wall that wood will hit, compression, before, you know, bad things happen. which you avoid by not overdrawing and whatever. And then I'm going to bend the handle back. I'm going to get the natural organic curve from string follow, which with the tapered limbs going to then will be very attractive. Let's not kid ourselves. You know, it's, you want to like what you see as well as like what you use. But develop that bend naturally and organically as they would have been back in the day, and then bend the handle back. I'm going to give that a try. It's always an experiment. Will it work? Probably. It'll probably work great. But I'm going to look at it as a bow maker. I wonder if. Now, as far as the different bow woods, you know what they would use back then? Whatever they had. They're not going to go to eBay, and nowadays you're fighting in the auction over an Osage stave or whatever stave. Gone are the days of the person selling these staves would say, it's a nice stave, it is worth $50, and that is what I will sell it with. Now it's like the wild, wild west. Or you go to a store that I used to buy Osage from, and it's like, wow, premium stave, over $200 now? I don't like that, so I'm going to go back. And I'm not complaining, because in the greater scheme of things, it's like, I'm looking at trees. I'm looking at a variety of trees. If I want to cross the road, I'd see a variety of trees. If I want anywhere here, I'd see a variety of trees. I'm going to use what I have. When I make stave bows, I'm going to use what I have. Just like the people back then. Why should we be any different? The Gullwings, before Osage entered the scene, chokecherry, serviceberry, white oak, hop hornbeam, hickory if there was hickory to be found, juniper if juniper was there. There were gullwings that were made out of yew, you know, that used what they had, used their technology and their skill, and in the sinew on the back, they made things work. It's not a slam. It's absolutely not a slam, because they worked. How dare I insult or say these people didn't do a good job on here, because they survived, they moved, they migrated, they hunted. The perfect bow is a bow that worked. I've seen museum bows that you would think, wow, you know, they didn't finish sand it. There's tool marks on it. They don't have even sinew on it. There's not much of a sinew cover on it. You know, what we think of what we need is not always what we want. You know what I'm saying? That some of those bows look a little on the rough side, but instead of looking down on those, we should admire them. It's like, you made that thing work. That thing worked. Not that I'm going to leave tool marks on mine. I've got sandpaper. I will use what I have. Interesting comment. I've mentioned now and again, you know, about the different people in the bow world. There are the fiberglass laminated mindset people, and then there's the self-bow people over here. I had a person on a video I made a long time ago. It was a 48-inch sugar maple self-bow. It was a self-bow, somewhat a paddle bow, but it was a self-bow. About 50 pounds. 48 inches tip to tip, 46 inches knock to knock. Short bow. The fellow asked me if he could draw it back to almost 30 inches. Which camp would you put that fellow in? The fiberglass mentality or the self-bow person? Just saying. I wasn't snotty. You know, I had to ask him as my response. Just simply, are you asking me if you can take a 46-inch knock-to-knock maple self-bow that's approximately 50 pounds and draw it back to almost 30 inches? Question mark. Yeah. Anyway, that's all. The tail piece, look at that, hop hornbeam, and this really shows. I didn't even finish sand this really to 180, you know, and this shows how hop hornbeam, that style of ironwood, not Blue Beech, which is also an ironwood. What a nice shiny bow a hop hornbeam bow would be. It's so fine grained, it's so hard, it's wonderful wood. And doesn't that tailpiece look great? Added tail feathers. It's gonna be so cool. Now I just need my reamer so I can do my pegs and tail piece peg, because there's gonna be a loop that goes over that. Look at that violin technology. I still need to sand that to shave it. Horn. Tail feathers. That's all I'm saying. That's enough. Gosh, that was 10 minutes and 40